Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel Charitrapada. This time I am sharing a travel experience with you. Recently I visited Andaman Nicobar Island. My first and foremost aim of this visit was to visit the cellular prison, the famous, or I have to say the notorious penal settlement located in the Port Blair, the capital of Andaman Nicobar Islands. It was constructed by the British during the British Raj period in 1906 to capture and imprison our freedom fighters. Thousands of our freedom fighters were captured from different parts of our country and deported to cellular prison in Port Blair. They were bringing as batch by batch in a steamer ship named SS Maharaja. In cellular prison, our freedom fighters were subject to different sorts of physical and mental torturing. Many of them died there itself, and many of them been hanged by the British people. At this same time, British families, they were enjoying a royal luxurious life at the expense of the sweat, the blood and the flesh of our freedom fighters in different islands, namely Ross Island, Havelock Island, Stewart Ganj and Viper Island. Once again, welcome to my channel Charitrapada. This is Cellular Jail, the notorious prison or penal settlement which was the synonym of cruelty in the history of Indian freedom movement. This was constructed by the British in 1906 during the British Raj to imprison and to torture the Indian freedom fighters. It was a torturing center rather than a prison. I had gathered maximum information about the prison before leaving Cochin from people whose forefathers were the freedom fighters and inmates of the cellular jail. First of all, I entered a cell and spent few minutes inside it to feel, to smell, to hear and to experience the atmosphere within the cell, because I had been told that only a peculiar sort of humming sound was audible within the cell. Each cell was constructed in such a way that inmates neither see nor communicates each other. Prisoners were subjected to various types of punishments and torturing for nothing or for silly mistakes. Applying hot iron box in different parts of body was one of the smallest form of punishment. These are places where the prisoners were subjected to physical torturing. This was the place for whiplash. The prisoner was made to put a dress made of gunny bag like this and fix it to a wooden frame, and the prison supervisors start whiplashing. Usually, prisoners start bleeding profusely even before completing the prescribed number of whiplashes. Extracting oil from raw coconut was another sort of punishment. Instead of bullocks or other animals, the prisoners were tied in pairs to the revolving system and were forced to revolve to get a certain amount of oil before sunset. Whip will fall on their body if prisoners slow down their speed or stop for a deep breath. The British families staying in Andaman were using this oil for their cooking purposes. Death was so common during this punishment as after few hours of revolving, usually prisoners get collapsed and die. Making coir fiber from green coconut and making coir out of this was another sort of punishment. These punishments were under the supervision of prison supervisors who were criminals belongs to different parts of Indian subcontinent undergoing imprisonment for different crimes. See what a paradox. Freedom fighters were supervised by criminals, and all these sadistic scenes was enjoying by Mr. Barry, an Irish, the notorious jail superintendent, who was the human form of cruelty. The huge spacious wooden chair which Barry was sitting in is still kept in the museum of Cellular Jail. Many of our freedom fighters were sentenced to death penalty by hanging. This is the condemned cell, where the prisoners were kept before hanging to get the approval from the Viceroy's office. It is just opposite to the gallows, so that the gallows were always within their view and they were able to see the prisoners moving to the gallows. Of course, this was a cruel psychological torturing. These prisoners can offer their last religious rituals here in this place before their last breath in gallows. These are gallows. 3 prisoners can be hanged at a time with the single pull of this lever. Just imagine how many of our freedom fighters sacrificed their life here. For what? They just struggle for the freedom of motherland. After hanging, dead bodies were collected from here, the basement of the platform of the gallows. Many dead bodies were just discarded to this ditch, which would wash away towards Bengal Ocean. The British India was a vast area in the Indian subcontinent, which include present India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Myanmar. The sad news of the death of a prisoner would reach their relatives after few months as per the communication facilities of that period, and usually nobody claimed the dead body for the last rituals. Dear viewers, thank you very much for watching. Next part of this video will appear shortly.